I'd like to call the order, City of Saugatuck City Council meeting for June 8th, 2026. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you call the roll?
Anderson,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Dean,
Here.
Gardner,
Here.
Muncy,
Here.
Peterson. Here. Stanton.
Here. We have a quorum. Thanks for all who joined us in person and online. Mayor's comments tonight will focus on the great job that the Community Pride Board did with Pride Week for Douglas and Saugatuck this past week. Great programming just across the board. Capped off with the parade and Pride in the Park at Berry Field, and the amount of time and energy that goes into that. I think there were 75 volunteers plus the board members who were working just pretty much constantly. So big hats off to them. And that's what I've got for Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Just a couple quick things. The Maple Street construction is moving right along. The water main installation is going well, kind of being installed in three main sections. And so the first section is in. I think that we're working on chlorinating early in this week and activating. And then they're going to start doing some connections and working with those property owners to kind of get connected to the new main, replacing any, ladder galvanized lines if that's a situation that folks have as well. So moving right along there. Along those lines, I talked with our engineers. I think there's kind of a neat opportunity since we've had various new faces on the council over the years, and this is a pretty big project to have council maybe come out on site and see some of the work hands-on, see the tax dollars at work. So I think we're looking at probably maybe for your next regular meeting, maybe starting, having you come out, stop in on site, check things out, take maybe a break in between, and then come to your regular meeting is kind of where we're looking, unless there's some sort of objection to that. If there is, feel free to email me, let me know if that wouldn't work. But if you're interested, we'll get you out on site, at least with our engineers, maybe not during the live construction, but at least take a look and kind of see how things are looking so far and get you out there.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, nothing would make me happier than to see lead service lines being removed.
Touche, yeah.
And I would, it's obviously will take a while, but it'd be really great to get a counting of how many lead lines we were able to tackle.
Oh, absolutely.
At the conclusion of the Maple Street work.
Certainly.
Can we get a bunch of hard hats?
I was gonna ask if I could drive a bulldozer.
Yeah, we'll take a look into the hard hats. Yeah, that's true. The bulldozer, do some hands-on work too, right? Put you to work, right? And then just another quick thing for my report that I was pretty proud of it, and it was pretty amazing stat. Obviously there was a lot of frustration that folks had that we didn't have, recycling pickup as frequent as our neighbors. We were on monthly, and it may seem like a long time ago, but that switch wasn't that long ago. And so Republic doesn't have exact numbers because some of it's commingled, but they estimate that from when we're on once per month pickup, they're picking up around 38.43 tons. And by switching to every other week, they estimate that they're picking up 82.29 tons in recyclables. So significant increase in the number of recyclables that are being picked up and kept out of our landfills and reused and repurposed. So pretty impressive policy change and work that you all push forward through that contract. So that's all I have there.
Great. Yep. The agenda changes. All right.
Oh, okay. Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that on the consent calendar, EH be moved to under new business 13 and become 13C.
I'm sorry, can you do those one more time?
Yes. All right. I move that on consent agenda, item 9, go down to E.
Yeah.
H, and move that under new business, then it becomes 13C.
Okay.
9EH to 13C.
Okay. Anything else? All right.
Would be seconded?
It has to be, I think it has to be
So
voted.
we have to have a vote for that?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay, very
I think
good.
in the past, Mr. Woody has indicated that one person removing something from consent was sufficient, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no motion or vote, just someone wanting to remove it from the consent agenda takes it.
Thanks, Jake.
Got it.
Mhm.
Okay. We have no guest speakers this evening, so that will take us to public comment on agenda items only. We'll start with the people in the room. If you come to the podium, say your name, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Hey, Steve. Well, hello, as you know, I'm Steve Manns. I live at 568 Wyrick Drive, Saugatuck, Michigan. I chair the City of Saugatuck's Planning Commission, and I'd like to speak to agenda item that was just moved down, the appointment of Chris Raphael to the Planning Commission. As many of you know, as many of you likely know, as chair, I participated in interviewing of both candidates for the vacancy of the Planning Commission. First and most importantly, I acknowledge and respect the fact that the process, the final decision of whom gets to make the recommendation by charter is given to the mayor. I respect that the mayor has chosen to recommend Chris Raphael. Chris is a quality individual, and he's a good neighbor to myself, as well as Mayor Anderson and Vice Chairman of Planning, Craig Baldwin. However, tonight I'd like to take a minute to share a few insights to help you understand why myself as chair and the city's director, Grayson Moore, preferred the other candidate, Paul Winfield, for the open seat. His cover letter and resume are included in your packets highlighting his qualifications. When the process began to fill this open seat, I thought the ideal candidate would be a female business owner. Female because we currently have 6 male commissioners. Business owner because we have no business owners currently, and we often hear that we are not listening enough to the business owners. So in Paul being an owner and he and his wife run the Book Nook here on Butler Street, I thought that was a huge plus. In the interviews, I just want to take a couple, make it maybe a minute, and highlight a couple of things where I thought was dramatically different between the 2 interviews that I sat through, and again, being part of both. My initial impression when Paul walked in, he said he arrived fully prepared, fully educated on the responsibilities of the PC and the members' role through watching many of our meetings, about, he says, 60 to 70% of them over the last 2 years. Chris, I didn't have that same feeling. We asked a question during the interview, what do you see as the most pressing planning and zoning issue today? The answer we got from Paul was completing the master plan, as that will be the document that will help guide us for the next 5 to 10 years as we build a future. Chris's response was overbuilding. Not every lot needs to be developed. What I think he was referring to was developments that are happening in the city of Douglas and Saugatuck Township, which the city of Saugatuck's Planning Commission has no authority over. The next question that kind of stood out to me was, we said, tell us a time you received new information that changed your mind on an issue. Paul took time to tell us about his coaching experience and how he had to make a difficult decision that he wished he hadn't have afterwards. But he also said he learned that you rarely can make a decision that's a tough call that's going to please everyone. Chris, when he was asked that, discussed leaf blowers and how they no longer bother him when people are doing it and blowing their own leaves. At the conclusion of the interview, we asked the candidates if they have any questions of us. Paul stated he felt comfortable in understanding the PC and his responsibilities. Chris said, how does it work? We responded as a panel and said, how does what work? He responded, the Planning Commission, how does it work? Ultimately, I, along with Grayson, believe the interviews Paul was referring to, that I believe, along with Grayson, we believe from the interviews, Paul was our preferred candidate. The mayor likely may speak to demeanor and moral compass similar to that Chris has, similar to our prior commissioner, and how they relate to our current six commissioners.
Can you
However,
wrap it
I-
up quickly,
wrap-
please?
However, I believe that we have an excellent mix of current commissioners with wonderful demeanors and fine moral characters. I stand proud to serve along with every one of them. And I ask that you consider this when you debate tonight. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Good insight.
Anyone else?
They think you know what I'm going to talk about, but you don't. What you just heard, I think, is historic. I can only think of one other time when the wishes of the Planning Commission chair in this case, the zoning administrator as well, were overweighed by one vote. And from what Commissioner Mans just said, it sounded like on the closest to objective measures, Mr. Whitfield, business owner, as he said, should have gotten the nod for that open spot. As I say, you have to go back to I had to do this. You have to go back to 2022 to see when something sort of like this happened. And I'm intimately familiar with it. The scars are still there. I was chair of the planning commission. In fact, I'm the immediately first chair before Steve. Steve was on the commission most of the time I was on. One of our commission members, Rich Crawford, a good commissioner, was summarily removed without comment from the planning commission and switched to the ZBA. He was never consulted. I was never consulted. I don't know of anyone who was ever consulted. It was done at the will of one person who made that call, and that stood. Don't ask me why it stood. It shouldn't have. I resigned from the planning commission and from the commissioner's spot over that issue. Clearly, and especially I would say in the planning commission, but it goes for historic as well. You want, and all the rest of them, you want the best person to fill that slot. The most qualified, the most committed, the most knowledgeable, the most responsible. That's who should be the next commissioner. And when your zoning administrator and the planning commission chair tell you who that is, be wise to listen. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Anyone else in the room? Anyone online wish to speak? All right, that closes public comments. We will move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I will make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Second.
It's a roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Stanton. Yes.
Motion carries.
Madam Mayor, point of order, please next time allow opportunity for discussion on the motion. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Approval of accounts payable.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $176,174.60.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, it's a roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Stanton. Yes.
Motion carries. All right, that takes us to a public hearing, and our packet begins on page 74. I will call to order, the public hearing. Let me actually go to that page on the packet.
Page 74, man.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, the public hearing for the Saugatuck annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027. We'll first open for public comment regarding the budget. Participants can come to the podium, identify themselves by name and address, address your comments to me, and again, you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
It's all right, Mayor. I can probably provide some kind of high level
Be great.
overview for folks to have a little bit of just to kind of lead into the process while maybe folks make their way to the podium. I gave a full presentation to the council at your workshop back on April 22nd, and we've shared that meeting video and these budget details through all of our channels. We've had the information on our website for quite some time, so I'm not going to go through all of the slides again. You've all heard the presentation, but we'll certainly hit some highlights for folks that are here for the public hearing and prior to them maybe speaking to the budget. But obviously, as you all know, the budget is quite a process, right? It's not just something that we sit down and spend a little bit of time on. It's not something that's put together quickly. Really, this process started back in October with the master plan survey and getting those results, which were lengthy, right? We received a lot of comments, a lot of feedback on various areas within the city and things that should be considered. All of that was compiled, and you all, similar to the last several years, had a full day session where you sat and discussed with each other what the goals and priorities should be for the city for the next fiscal year that begins here on July 1st. So that session was held in February. From there, staff worked with our engineers to update our capital improvement plan based on the priorities that you had all set, as well as kind of our recommendations on what we saw coming that was reviewed with you and approved back in February and March. The department had submitted their budget request to me in March as required by the city charter. I then submitted the budget to you. We had our presentation in April. The only changes we've really made to the budget since that April presentation are the addition of a DPW furnace is getting a little touchy. And so we think it's wise to get that replaced sooner rather than later. So that's $15,000 that was added. And then further sewer fund balance, as we've kind of gotten into some more of the numbers with Elizabeth Street and Maple Street's needs, there was some adjustment there to reflect some higher use of the sewer fund balance. But other than that, things remain intact with what we presented to you in April. From there, you've all had an opportunity to ask questions. We're here tonight for the public hearing, and then ultimately you have to approve the budget before the end of June for next fiscal year. So as we covered during the previous presentation, we've kind of got the word out a little bit on this, and it's worth mentioning tonight kind of some stats with our financial health. These are dashboard stats from the state of Michigan that they take in and aggregate across the state. Our general fund ratio, so that's our savings that we have a lot of flexibility with. Our ratio, we're ranked 4th out of 239, so the 98th percentile. And then our overall governmental net position, and this is just city to city comparison. Townships are separate, counties are separate. We're ranked 2nd out of 240, so we're sitting in a really good position. So my budget message remains this year to really maintain, repair, and replace what you have. That really aligns with the survey results, showing that infrastructure is really the top priority that folks want you to focus on. And obviously that leads to a lot of projects that obviously we're in the middle of, and additional projects that you've all prioritized taking on. And in order to get this work done, obviously we need some tax dollars. So we have an operating millage. This year it's proposed to be at the max allowable, inclusive of heavily rollbacks at 9.9774 mils. That's actually a decrease of 1.87% due to that heavily rollback. So our millage rate will actually be less. Roads, 1.6413 mils. Again, that's a decrease of 1.87% due to the heavily rollback. And then the debt millage, which we still have 4 more years on, would remain at 1.4 mils. We have healthy fund balances to put to work and really invest in the capital needs, in particular that we have. We have a general fund balance at the end of last fiscal year per the audit at $7,444,000. Major streets fund balance at $912,000 and a local streets fund balance at a little over $2.5 million. So that's what we have to kind of work with and dollars to really put to work on the capital needs that the city very much has. So the proposed budget funds all the priorities that you established for 26, 27, obviously a hefty list. We'll review that again here as we kick off the fiscal year. But the proposed budget does fund what you all want to work on next year. It adequately funds our city services and operations. Obviously, we have day-to-day services and operations that we need to run, and the budget does allow for us to do that. It maintains low operating millage rate in comparison to where we've been at. And so we talked at the last session that the proposed operating millage rate for this next fiscal year is actually 2.1784 mils lower than it was 10 years ago. That's an 18% decrease because of that heavily rollback. So we're actually operating wise 18% less as far as the millage rate goes. When we're looking at our overall millage rate. So if we take, obviously our roads and we take our debt and compare that to all the other millages that were in place at the time in 2016, 2017, and compare it to this prior fiscal year, the city's overall millage rate has also decreased 2.5730 mils or 16.27%. Again, driven largely by those heavily rollbacks. And as we discussed during the larger presentation, that's resulting in real dollars that we're not bringing in because of being in that position. But our proposed operating millage rate remains lower than most nearby cities, right? So there's a chart in the presentation in your packet that kind of shows how we compare to other nearby cities, not townships, cities, all right? Kind of doing an apples to apples comparison there. So the budget invests again in existing and new infrastructure and other needs that you identified as priorities, right? The Bald Head Upper Platform replacement, Village Square Courts, Blue Star Trail, restroom upgrades at Wicks and Village Square, sidewalk repairs. Obviously, we're in the middle of the Maple Street project. There's dollars here to start the Elizabeth Street project. Remember, it'll hit over 2 fiscal years. That includes water main, lead service lines, some sidewalk connections that are missing, stormwater and road replacement. Staff wage increases, both looking at merits and inflationary adjustments, continued invasive species treatment, completing the land use master plan, finishing the parking study, website redesign, which we also have a requirement to make more ADA accessible, deer management, wayfinding signage. Once we get those recommendations from the parking task force, we're going to take a good hard look at improving wayfinding, and then continued planning and design for future projects, including Park Street, Grant Street, and City Hall interior. The budget requires no debt service to complete the projects for next fiscal year, and really still, and I showed you some charts, and there maintains healthy reserves in your general fund, as well as your local streets and major streets, frankly, that are far above the council's policy requirements. So just some highlights as you go in.
Thanks, Ryan. Questions for Ryan from council before we open for public comments?
I do real quick. Ryan, I was just curious. I brought it up before and I'm looking for it just to make sure because the girls over at the garden club keep asking, and I asked when we were putting this together earlier. Where would that be listed at here? Did she call back to get the 2,000 or but they asked for it was 17. You'd brought it up to 17, but they wanted 2,000. Just wondering if that was.
Yep, that's all set for this fiscal year, and there's, it falls under events and services under the council department, and there are
Okay.
sufficient dollars for next year as well.
All right, thank you so much. That really makes the town look nice and beautifies our town.
All right, public comments from people in the room? Any from those online? Raise your hand. Zoom hand. All right, seeing no public comments, I'll close that section of the meeting. And any further discussion or questions from council? Is there somebody online speaking in the room? Okay, no one's on, okay. Discussion from council? I know it's Chris.
Madam Mayor, I thought it was a very good presentation. I laid it out smoothly. You could see exactly how the dollars came in, how the dollars went out, where the dollars are at. I thought you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And staff. Sorry, Nikki.
Yes, it's a team effort. Yep.
Great.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I would echo those comments as well. Thank you, Ryan, for a very good presentation. I appreciate city staff. I know the capital improvement plan is a particular lot of work with the engineers and superintendent of DPW, et cetera, to put all that information together, and it's laid out in a way that is completely understandable to most folks. I love numbers, so I dive into this stuff, but for most people that read this, I think it's clear in terms of how we spend our money, what the priorities are, and I just appreciate your approach to this. Thank you.
Great. Anything else? Ryan, I don't see a motion. Do we?
I have the motion.
Okay,
You ready for a motion?
I am.
Motion to approve resolution number 260608-B to adopt the General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2026-2027.
Second.
All right, anything further before we vote? It's a roll call vote.
Are we, sorry.
Do I
We're a
close?
little bit out of order, I believe, here. So we're at number 11A, talking about the budget. Then we go unfinished business, but that resolution is under
got it.
for your approval.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just moved on to that item. Yep.
So
Yep.
we,
You have to close the public hearing.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Close the public hearing.
Good comment.
All right.
And then your unfinished business, and then we can move to 13.
Okay, there's no unfinished
Good
business.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jamie.
Second time's the charm. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion. Motion to approve resolution number 260608-B to adopt the General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2026-2027.
I'll second.
All right. I'm assuming there's no further discussion. It's a roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Stan.
Yes.
Motion carries. It takes us to new business B, the liquor license for the Wickwood. Are you teeing that up, Ryan?
Yeah, so you.
156.
Grayson's out this week, enjoying some vacation time. So he teed this up for you at your workshop meeting and covered that this would allow Wickwood to serve alcoholic beverages to its overnight guests. I think the only change that was made between your workshop and today was just kind of clarification in the motion that their overnight guest occupancy may change a bit with the potential addition of these kind of accessory buildings. So I think the specific occupancy was removed, but made it clear that it still applies to overnight guests. I think that's the only change that was really made in the recommended motion. Otherwise, it's the same as what it was before you on Wednesday.
Right. And just to be clear, this is just for them to serve folks that are staying there at their bed and breakfast. So
Staying overnight, correct?
well, then I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 260608-C, granting local government approval for a liquor license to be located at 510 Butler Street, the Wickwood Inn Bed and Breakfast Establishment, and to approve the associated special land use request for the service of alcoholic beverages. This motion is based on compliance with section 154.092P and the positive findings related to the special land use standards contained in section 154.082, as documented in the staff memorandum dated May 15, 2026, and the following conditions apply. 1, the applicant shall secure the appropriate license from the State of Michigan Liquor Control Commission. 2, alcoholic beverages shall only be served to overnight guests of the Wickwood Inn at the approved maximum occupancy. 3, alcohol service shall remain incidental and accessory to the bed and breakfast use. 4, outdoor service of alcohol shall not be permitted after 10 p.m.
Second.
All right, I know we talked about this at the workshop. Any further discussion or comments? Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Muncy.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Stanton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Takes us to 13C, the recommendation to appoint Chris Raphael to the Planning Commission with a term ending July 1, 2027.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to first start off by saying right up front, this is not illegal, what's being done. It's not nepotism. A mayor has the ability to recommend anyone they want for an appointment to a committee. What this is the information that we were given and what we are voting on, because even if the mayor recommends it, we can vote our own way. If the mayor's recommendation was the only thing we used, we wouldn't have to have interviews or everything. We base our votes on usually through the group of three that do the interviews, the mayor, the chair of the whatever committee it is, and then the member of the staff that is part of that. And usually they're all in agreement, maybe one off or something like that. This one is totally different. Both the chairman of the planning commission and the director of zoning chose the second person, who is Paul Whitfield. And he would be, if he had gone on, he would be the only business owner on the planning commission board. Again, nothing illegal, but the city council has to vote to approve the nomination, and I'm telling you why I will not be voting that way. When the three people do not agree, usually something can be worked out. This time it wasn't. It was absolutely, this is going to be the way it is, and if it doesn't go this way, my understanding is then it will be We're sending out new applications requests. So this is now in our laps, and I'm sure Mr. Raphael is a very nice man. And we have the applications. Could you pull up page 57? When you do an application, there is a form that you fill out as well as asking for information like what you've done. You don't have to do a resume if you don't want to. Excuse me, you don't have to do a cover letter if you don't want to. So this is Mr. Raphael. This is what we as city council got to vote on. There's page 1, number 57. I think you're already on 58. There's 57, go to 58. There's 58, go to 59. And right at the top, it says, please describe any qualifications, expertise, or special interests that relate to your possible appointment. I'm a long-term resident of the area. Okay, I'm now going to ask you to go to page 60. This is Mr. Whitfield's cover letter explaining why he feels he's a better choice for this. Go to the next page. These are his personal experience. This page, go again. Next page. And I think that was it. So you can see the difference. And if I look at this, I'm sure Mr. Raphael is a nice guy. I'm sure he is. I don't have anything to vote on. I don't know what he did. I don't know what his qualifications are other than that. I've talked to Chairman Mans about this. And again, one of the things about this is that the mayor, any mayor, can do what they want. But sometimes you have to look at what it looks like to the public. And what does this tell our citizens and what does it tell our staff if their work is not vindicated by the mayor's approval? So what I would say is I don't think that this nomination should be voted on positively. I'm going to vote against it. I'm not going to sacrifice my values to rubber stamp something for someone that doesn't give me the information I need to even vote credibly. And just as I've always said, if it's not right, don't do it. And this isn't right.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone else?
From what the information that I'm getting tonight from the meeting and from what Chris Peterson just said, I have to say the same thing. I feel, and I believe that Chris is a great guy, probably a good neighbor. But I just, from what the information I got in this packet, there's no way that I couldn't agree with our planning commission chair along with our employee.
Well, I'm happy.
Madam Mayor?
Russ?
I agree with Councilmember Muncy and Councilmember Peterson. I will be a no on Mr. Raphael. I called Mr. Raphael today to ask him some questions because the application has been indicated, in my mind, was incomplete. I wanted to get some information. Mr. Whitfield, was very detailed, and I had conversation with Chairman Mans too about this to better understand the two candidates. I did not hear back from Mr. Raphael. That's neither here nor there. Bottom line, the mayor is recommending an appointment that was not the first choice of our zoning director and planning chair. I have sat in that seat. 2 or 3 other members of this council have sat in that seat. This council has said continuously that we do not counter city and staff, city employee, and are serving, like Chairman Mans, contradict them or go against their recommendations. And this is a clear example of that happening. I've sat in that seat. I had to make recommendations for candidates. I may not have liked them personally, but I recommend it anyway because I followed the city staff and the chair of that particular commissioner board at the time, what they thought was best for the city. For the reasons that were mentioned, a business owner, someone who has attended, I've seen Mr. Whitfield on a number of our calls over the years, listening to the meetings and clearly engaged with the planning commission and was very interested in the work here. My understanding is that Mr. Raphael had to be lobbied by the mayor and the planning commission vice chair to submit his application at the last minute. He literally did not submit his application until 15 minutes before the deadline that they were due. The perception of people I've talked with is that the mayor personally recruited Mr. Raphael and had already decided that he was her candidate. This situation and the one that Mr. Fox described are one of the reasons why the city has difficulty recruiting people to apply for appointments. However, if you're a friend of certain people, your chances are greatly increased to get an appointment. My vote is no, because the mayor is recommending an appointment that goes against the city staff and a chair of our planning commission recommendation.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, when Russ had sent me a text message, and when I had gotten an email from Commissioner Mans, I wanted to just learn a little bit more about what was going on. And from what I understood is that Chris Raphael had applied for the Planning Commission seat 18 months ago, something along those lines. And that at the time he was told, hey, somebody else is applying who has the citizen planner training, and that somebody more qualified than Chris Raphael had been given the position. But if he was still interested, that he could either maybe join the ZBA, get some experience there, and then also go through some of the training. And I understood that he did that, and that he's basically being rewarded for going through that process by joining the ZBA, going through the training, and that's why he was chosen. So that's why I support.
Please,
Chris
no
Raphael.
talking in the audience. Thank you.
I'm not sure what was funny about that, but that was all, that's the reason why I understood that he was for that
Order.
reason.
Come on, Lauren has the floor.
So
Thank
anyway,
you.
that's why I understood that that's why he'd been offered the position. So
Yeah.
that was what I was looking at.
Can we ask if that's true? Chairman Mans, did he do this?
What is the training and how long does that take?
This, we're out of order. So, let me speak.
Okay.
All right, I'll provide some perspective. So yes, Chris did apply for the Planning Commission before. We interviewed him. He was not the most qualified candidate. He has since joined the ZBA. He has been through the training on ZBA. I asked Bob Kabashik how he's doing on the ZBA. He's a very valued member of the ZBA. And when I talked to Chris about his qualifications to be a planning commissioner, he was very positive about that. And in fact, wants Chris to stay, if Chris joins the Planning Commission, to stay on the ZBA. Clearly, we had two qualified candidates and two very different candidates. Both have small business experience. Russ mentioned, or Steve mentioned, Mr. Whitfield's experience with Book Nook. Chris has owned two businesses. He owned a business for the Merchandise Mart in Chicago, and he had a business in Holland doing computer services for 7 years in Holland. He had 15 employees in that business. They both are independent consultants now. Where they are different is that Chris's really, his background is more entrepreneurial, where Mr. Whitfield and actually every other planning commission their background is more professional corporate work or professional services work. And those are two very different things. I mean, entrepreneurs tend to, be a little bit more by, the seat of your pants, creative. He's not a buttoned up corporate guy, but when I look at the Planning Commission, I look in total, is this a group of people where anyone in our community can go and feel like they're being heard by their peers? And as it's presently configured, if you're not sort of a corporate type, it's a pretty homogenous group. I think what Chris brings to it is his experience, proven experience on the ZBA, the training he's done, the endorsement of the ZBA chair, and somebody who knows how to solve problems. He's more reserved, which I like. He describes himself as a listener, which is not to say, hopefully everybody on our boards and commissions listens. I grant that his application and his demeanor is not a corporate, he doesn't have a corporate persona. And I actually think that's a strength on that commission. So I stand by my recommendation that we appoint him. And unless somebody else has something to say, I'll ask for a motion.
Well, I haven't spoken yet, Mayor. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to actually spending some time with both these gentlemen. I'm intrigued by both of them, and I'm hopeful that we will hear from both of them in some capacity down the road. Mr. Whitfield is sort of a neighbor of mine. He lives about 2 blocks away over on Upper Spear. And so now I know who the other, U of M fan is, who's always got the Michigan flag out. And we actually almost almost went to school together. I graduated from Michigan in 85 and he graduated in 86. So at the very least, I think we have the opportunity to talk about what a great team Michigan had this year in the sport of basketball. But I would also, on a serious note, like to understand his policy views a little bit more. I did do some research when we were going through the short-term rental discussion. And he did submit, I thought, was a fairly thoughtful letter to the council. I believe it was in 2024 on accessory dwelling units, which I believe he operates now. So I would really like to get to know him better, and I hope this is not the last we hear from him, but based on Mr. Raphael's ZBA experience and his willingness, long-standing willingness to serve, I will be voting for Mr. Raphael.
All right. Gregory?
The things that you described, Mayor, how come we did not get that in our packet? Where we could, maybe do a little bit of background checking ourselves. You're explaining, his background and all that you're told, but I'm just wondering why that wasn't included in our packet.
People don't have to submit
Right.
all of that information. So
Again, I stand with what the information that I have in black and white. I have to say no.
yep. Joe?
I mean, the good news is we have from all appearances, we have two very qualified candidates that are willing to sacrifice a lot of time, right, to support our town. And I applaud both of them for doing that. We don't have a lot of people in this town as it is. So, to see such talent stand up and, be willing to serve, I think is a good thing. That we can't, that there wasn't consensus, on the two candidates is understandable, especially when you have that much talent. It's not that it's a competition, but you're kind of doing a comparison, right? And we have a charter set up for a reason, right? When there are disagreements. And, in that case, right? So from a procedural point of view, I think, you have the ability to make the recommendation. So as far as I'm concerned, listening to, the qualifications of Mr. Raphael, I'll be supporting that decision as well.
Thanks.
Shall we call the question?
Madam Mayor, just want to follow up on a comment you made about demeanor. Again, I've sat in your chair. I have made appointments. Demeanor was not the first thing I thought. It was qualifications and, more importantly, what the city staff and our appointed official recommended. I've sat with some people on some commissions and boards here that you wouldn't think they would be good at it, but their demeanor was a bit different. And they were excellent planning commissioners or historic district commissioners. So I think demeanor is really not a best way to look at a candidate. It's the qualifications, period. And out of all due respect to Mr. Raphael, he's not a current business owner in the city of Saugatuck. Having past business experience, good thing. Being a business owner in the city of Saugatuck, as Mr. Mann said, is important for us to get our boards and commissions. And again, I think your recommendation to go against the recommendation of our staff and our appointed official sends the community a message that, thank you, but your opinion doesn't count.
Noted. So I'll make one further comment before we call the question.
We all should be able to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So when I get to demeanor, to that point, one thing that I heard from Chairman's described the other candidate as a great fit. And when I was working, I did a lot of consulting around diversity and inclusion in strong teams, what makes a strong team. And when you hire for fit, what you're really doing is hiring for people who are like you, people who think like you, people whose backgrounds are like you. And that can lead to a lack of diverse thought and perspectives. And I think Chris he does have the experience. He's been very successful and recommended by the ZBA. I think his professional experience is relevant. When you're solving computer problems, you have to be a critical thinker. He has those skills. And I think his approach of having a more reserved process in a meeting will be a good fit, good balance to the current planning commission. So final comments from everybody and we'll call the vote. Chris.
Thank you. Again, I'll go back to why I'm not voting for positive. There's no resume. People have had to dig on their own for this. There's no support from the chair and the director. And again, we're all, I'm not gonna go against my beliefs and I'm not gonna rubber stamp this. And I believe that in city government, we're held to a higher standard. And many times when we see something that stinks, we should stay away from it. This stinks. Did the ZBA recommend him for the policy cabinet or policy planning commission, or did he just say he was a good guy?
No, he's recommended him
So we're gonna
and wants
take-
him to keep.
So we're gonna take the recommendation of the ZBA chairman over the recommendation of the planning commission chair. So again, nope, we're held to a higher standard. This is not right. Stinks. I'm not gonna vote
All right.
for it.
Anyone else?
I mean,
Motion to me.
Yeah.
it's worth mentioning, I don't take overruling the planning commission lightly at all, or the commissioner, but I have done it before. I think you'll all recall, the planning commission denied the cottages permit, because some business operators said they sold sleep and they did not want the disruptions at their hotels of the noise. But I felt that the cottage made a very compelling point, and don't take it lightly. And the former chair is here of the planning commission that was overruled. But nevertheless, it's proved to be a successful business. So sometimes you have to make these hard calls.
Great. Can I get a motion? So regarding Chris's appointment.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we appoint Chris Raphael as planning commissioner for a term beginning, what would the date be?
It's ending July 1st.
Sorry, July 1st,
2027.
2027.
There's second.
Second.
All right, so roll call vote.
Anderson.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Gardner.
No.
Muncy.
No.
No. Stanton.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, that takes us to staff reports, boards, commissions, committees. We've heard from the city manager. Any questions about his report? Any questions about the treasurer's report? Clerk's report? Planning and zoning report? DPW report? Engineering? Police? All right, takes us to second public comments. Anyone in the room wish to make a public comment? All right, anyone online wish to make a public
somebody.
comment? Oh, sorry.
Once again, Steve Mans, 568 Wyrick. One, just I want to clarify to Scott's point regarding the cottage. I was a no vote on the planning commission for that. So I'm the one that's kind of like, they went against even what I was saying. I was on the right side. I truly believe I was on the right side on this when I'm thinking about really the quality candidates. But what I'm asking for, and again, as a chair, I recommend or I recognize you as council have the ultimate, and you make your decision. We will be welcoming Chris, to the planning commission. We have a outstanding group of individuals that are dedicated to really doing what we think is best for the city of Saugatuck. And that will continue even with him there. If Paul is listening, I will communicate back to him that I do hope he stays engaged and that he is looking, because I think he is the quality individual, a business owner that would like to step up, which is hard to find because most business owners tell you they just don't have time to be part of the meetings. And I know it's like, as you well know, how challenging it can be. And so it would be something that it would be advantageous. But I just wanted to kind of like say to Chris, as I did talk to both Paul and Chris, obviously over the weekends, and I explained to him why I was making the recommendation. And we will, at this point, welcome Chris, to the planning commission. Yeah, that's the way that's the way the system works. So I thank all of you guys for your time. I wish that we would have had a chance maybe to kind of discuss this more, and even regarding kind of like the training, maybe it's training for the ZBA, but in the interview, when he asked about how it works, we had actually, the mayor actually explained to him that we have training available through Michigan State University called Citizen Planner, and that he would be encouraged to take that. So if he's already done it, I wasn't aware of that. So I'm just kind of making
In CBA training.
CBA training. So I just want to kind of point out if there's anything, it's already past the time, but I just wanted to kind of clarify those things and say that moving forward, we'll continue to do a great job for the city. I'm planning. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Anyone else in the room? Dan?
Thank you, Dan Fox, Saugatuck. My brief comments here are going to focus in just two areas. And the first one is about one of the other appointments made this evening. I want to offer my wholehearted, absolutely unreserved endorsement of John Mayer as the next Saugatuck delegate to the Fire Board. Said simply, John is an ideal candidate for the Fire Board. As his resume showed, an experienced, accomplished first responder and instructor. And by all means, if you haven't read that, read it. He is a man of demonstrated courage and character. I've known John pretty much since he first arrived in town full-time, not that long after I did many years ago, 12 or so, 14, whatever. He quickly became one of my very best friends and is to this day. Must be a small group, I can hear some of you thinking. And you'd be right. John and his late wife, Vicky, define salt of the earth. And he's also a car guy like me. John will be an exemplary Fire Board member. Guaranteed. Now to my second point. As pleased as I am to see John join Jane Verplank as the second Saugatuck appointed Fire Board member, I have to point out that the process followed to get there was, at least in my opinion, odd, maybe flawed. In the past, each board or commission appointment, in my experience, would have been normally seen individually and presented to the council in that fashion in a public session. But as you saw tonight, the Fire Board appointment, along with almost all of the others, as it turned out, just 7 or 6, 7 other folks, were lumped together in the consent agenda. None of these appointments was ever discussed at a workshop, nor were they this evening until the final discussion. I believe this public discussion opportunity to talk with other board members about the appointees in the public forum shouldn't be abridged, because the consent agenda is a single up or down vote for all the items on the agenda at once. Everything from designing the street or designating a street administrator to a request for a banner on the pallet sign tonight. Anyway, did this happen by accident? It most certainly did not. Someone chose this route for some reason. You'll have to speculate. I assure you, all of what I've said here is not Dan Fox sour grapes related to the Fire Board. It's just one citizen's fear that hubris, that weird certainty that one's own point of view is always right. That hubris is raising its ugly face at the very top of the council leadership. Watch out. Watch out. Shutting up the public like this is not a good thing for the city, the council, any of us who live here. One of you, and I won't point a finger this time, recently told a constituent of hers, and I quote, "I never worry because I always do the right thing." That, folks, is the stink of hubris.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Anyone else in the room? Anyone online? All right. That closes public comments, noting correspondence, which begins on page 221. Council comments, Chris?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say thank you to Chairman Mans for the respect. I have so much respect for him, the way he graciously handled this. I know it's been a tough time. We've been in contact through this. It was very hard. But I just appreciate the fact that you welcomed Chris in, and I know that you'll, as always, just be the wonderful person you are. I hope the rain doesn't come, because it's just nice to finally have the sun out, and that's all I have.
Russ?
Thank you. Yes, I just want to thank Chairman Mans. I've known Steve quite well over the past few years. He and his husband Dennis. And I just have the most high regard for his integrity, his appreciation for the work of the Planning Commission, as well as service to the community. It is hard to find people of that caliber when we have a small community with aging people. Frankly, that's just where we are. His service is much appreciated. And again, I look forward to continuing serving on the Planning Commission with Mr. Mans. Dan, your service to the fire district has been John's got some big shoes to fill, and I wholeheartedly support John Mayer too. I've gotten to know John quite well. He's a neighbor of mine. I just really appreciate your service to the city. Thank you.
Joe?
Actually, I want to thank all the
Madam Mayor?
members.
Madam Mayor? I look forward to serving with Chris Raphael, the Planning Commission as well. In my experience with boards and commissions is the council could learn a lot about how to work together. The Planning Commission itself, I've served on the Historic District Commission, ZBA, Cal Lake, I've served on them all over the years. And the lack of politics in our boards and commissions is refreshing. Especially the Planning Commission, my current appointment, we could not be more different than each other.
Right. Well,
We
I'm sorry.
could not be more different than each other. We disagree. We don't all support the same sports teams and, you name it. I don't always agree with my fellow commissioners, but I'm shown a level of respect, which I really appreciate. And again, I'm always proud of our commissions and boards, and I do everything I possibly can when they make a recommendation to support them 100%. On a good note, positive note, well, actually, that's all positive because I enjoy my board appointment. Join the Sagatuck Freewheelers this Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Blue Star Barns for our first weekly group bike ride. Joe Airdown, I think I pronounced his last name correctly, and I will be leading a group ride. Leaving at 6 p.m. from the Blue Star Barns. All are welcome and no one will be left behind. We're going to go a little bit east of Sagatuck over to New Richmond and come back into town through Douglas. And I think Joe's got some refreshments planned after the ride, so please join us.
Joe?
Just want to thank all the members of our committees and commissions, past, present, and future. It's a big commitment. We need them to serve. They do a great job. And especially Dan, I want to thank you for your time on coming up here. We'll certainly miss you at the podium, giving us the rundown on the fire board. Bet you will. No tomatoes, please. I also want to thank the staff. They built a great budget. I know a lot of work went into it. And more importantly, I think all our staff deserve really a round of applause for those tremendous financial results that we all enjoy. So, it doesn't come by us, right? It's them working really hard to make it happen. So, pass that on, the thanks on, and that's all I had.
Well said, Joe.
Scott?
Yeah, I think we can all be proud of our staff and ourselves for our fiscal responsibility and the budget we've just approved. I'd like to congratulate the Board of Commissioners who were reappointed and the new appointees. I'd like to thank Mr. Mans and Mr. Fox for their very gracious comments and their commitments to work with some of the new board members and commissioners. I think that's really, I'm just very pleased to hear that. It's very gracious. And I look forward to learning more about some of these folks that are starting to put their hands up to volunteer. This is not easy. And, I'm really interested to learn from some of these folks that are interested in serving our boards and commissions and learning about their policy views, because Planning Commission, for example, is an extremely important committee. And, the master plan is going to be a big piece of work. And I just really want to make sure I understand all applicants' policy positions, because I've got constituents who have elected me for some of my policy positions on protecting our neighborhoods. So I look forward to meeting with them.
Gregory?
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank everybody on all of our boards and commissions and the volunteers that we have. We're so lucky to live in a community where so many folks, it's just a small community, step up and volunteer to make this town so special. And I don't really see much of a problem, recruiting people. Every once in a while, there's a little slow, nick in the road. But for the most part, my gosh, I mean, when I've served and before I've served, even new committees, PPW, the parking task force. I mean, the applications come in, and I really appreciate that. Appreciate everything that I learned today about this appointment. And I hope that, and I know that Chris will do a great job. And I'd like to spend a little bit more time with him. Don't know too much about him. I've seen the ZBA meetings, but I just don't know much about him, and I wasn't provided with any. So that's why I couldn't vote that way. So if I would have had more information, maybe I had the chance to sit down and talk to him, my vote could have been different, but I had no idea. I didn't have the information to make an educated vote. And then also, who likes cake? Does everybody like cake?
Doesn't.
I want to, Kevin Shippa, and I want to do a shout out to Kevin Shippa and Patty Beery, who are doing the Heart of the Community, Community Cakewalk fundraiser to help raise money for AEDs that are being placed throughout the community. They're doing a wonderful job with this program. They've already raised money for several AEDs and are looking for spots to put them. It's coming up, and put this in your calendar, Saturday, June 27th. It's at the Riverside Church. They're at the corner of Old Allegan Road and Blue Star Highway. They need bakers. So if you want to bake a cake, they need lots of homemade cakes, or of course you can buy a store-bought cake as well. But who doesn't like a good cakewalk? I know I do. That was my favorite thing to do at the carnival when I was in a little tight. The outreach team, they need help with contact, an outreach team to put together to talk to and contact local businesses. They need an event crew to help set up and sell tickets. And of course, they always need our community support. I think it's a great thing. I know that Patty Berry takes us to heart because of her son, if you know his story. You can, if you're interested, you can reach out to Patty Beery, volunteering, making a cake or whatever you want to do. Give her a call, 269-455-9838. You can also email her at pjbeery@yahoo.com.
Sure. Lauren.
I think everything has already been said. Just really appreciate everyone stepping up to be on our boards and commissions. It's time consuming, and it means a lot to all of us when people step up, and we hope that anyone who applies and doesn't get the position the first time around, there's openings all the time. And so we know that hopefully other people will be able to fill those roles when those come available. So thank you to everyone who volunteers.
Right. I will add my thanks to, again, all of our boards and commission members, with a special shout out to Dan for your incredible service to the Fire District Board over the years. Your passion for that board and your service is just beyond reproach, and you are a model for John and everyone who serves. And I really appreciate you, and thank you. And Steve, I can't see you, but thank you for, I appreciate your perspective. Obviously, we disagreed. I think one thing I love about this council is that we don't always agree. Sometimes quite strongly, but I think where there's a lot of respect for one another, I think we have better decisions because we have different perspectives and different experiences that we bring. And I think that is something I think about when I look at all of the boards and commissions. I think if everyone had the sort of the commitment to doing the homework, to listening to one another and to deliberate thoughtfully, that's what makes good government. And I think this council has demonstrated that we can do that. So with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Meeting adjourned.